Good evening, good afternoon, good night. I don't know what it is for you when you're watching this right now. We got all kinds of things we're going to talk about. I'm Lionel from Toronto, and
I'm Robert from Nashville, USA.
yeah,
What's up?
stick around because we're going to talk about a number of things here. We're going to definitely be mentioning something about some NHL hockey because there's some surprises in the league this year. Teams up here, teams down there. Should they be reversed? Is there stuff in the middle where you think there should be further down or higher up? International hockey, there's laws being written. I don't know if what they've done is supposedly good, bad, or just not good enough. We'll get into that.
Good,
And
bad,
also,
indifferent.
yes, indifferent. No. And also, are you a Windows user who's still using Windows 10? There's some information you probably know or should know, things you should do, could do, or should you. And why don't we, what the hey, do you want to start with that? Stick around
Yeah,
if you want
sure.
to talk if you want to hear about that sports stuff. Please stick around if you're an NHL fan, especially if you're into international hockey too. Anyways,
Yeah,
Robert,
I
go
will
ahead.
say about the hockey stuff, most of the exciting stuff is in Canada because the U.S. hockey team sucks, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, no,
So, Windows, real quick. As everybody knows, Windows 11 has been out for a long time. And for all of you Windows users, which is probably a good majority of you, if you're on Windows 10, Microsoft is saying be ready for end of life on Windows 10. It will be sometime next year. And, they're cutting life cycles much shorter than they ever used to. I think Windows XP was out for like 15 years before they cut into life. And now, Windows 11's barely been out. And now Windows 10's on the chopping block, which is good.
In all fairness, Windows XP was also the actual operating system for both professional and consumer for what was it, 8 or 9 years?
Long time.
7 years. I can't remember. I can't remember. It was a long time. So even after they did the switch over, there was nearly no businesses or government agencies that were willing to switch because what they had was what they needed. And at the time, it was the most secure. It worked, very well. It had been updated so many times at this point that they had fixed all kinds of flaws and holes and anything that was wrong. Well, not anything, but a lot of it. Windows 7, on the other hand, out of the gate, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. What were you going to do with that? Nobody.
I had no problem with Windows 7.
Well, I didn't, but most big businesses did not switch. No, I'm pretty sure no government agency switched. Windows 8. Some businesses thought this does look, they got suckered into it a little bit. But the bottom line is that when it comes to this, the reason that things are coming a little faster, things are being updated and not supported as long, is just because the technologies are in need of new actual hardware, and there are certain things that just don't work properly, and sometimes it's like this type of thing isn't going to work well with this. For instance, if you bought an old Windows XP device that technically could run Windows 11, technically, it's probably not going to run it very well. It would be like me putting Android 15 on my first Pixel phone. It's going to be slow.
Yeah, but that's not even really the big issue. I mean, obviously, coming from, working in tech every day, the biggest issue you have is security. And the problem is that so many manufacturers of software, peripherals, other devices, they're moving their life cycles so quickly. And you have all these new vulnerabilities. So Microsoft is trying to keep pace and making sure they keep up to date with their OS information and security. And the problem is that if they take money and personnel resource and apply it to a platform that's going away, they're just wasting that money and time on something that they could be getting better in the future.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
But it really boils down to security, not so much as to whether things can run or not. Like, for example, let me just say one of the biggest things is the TPM module in a computer. They're up to 2.0. Well, a lot of the old computers don't support TPM 2.0.
Exactly, and that's what I meant by that. So, a lot of people don't understand that this is a hardware issue. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as like in your Samsung phone, my Pixel phone, and I'm pretty sure Apple phones have some form of that too. I don't know what they call theirs, but basically, all the security is basically done through that. So it's like you can explain that a lot better than I can. That's your cup of tea in there.
Yeah. Well, TPM stands for Trusted Platform Module, and it's basically a physical device on a motherboard that helps protect the low level, executables, and not executables really, but that's the easiest way to say it. And so, if it doesn't support the newer version, then it's not going to work anymore. And so,
you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. That actually makes for like one of the best segues in the history of the world. I'm going to bring this up. This is not about the Windows thing, so we're segueing because where I'm going with this one is this is about excuse me, I'm looking at Notebook LM and I can't even speak anymore now. You want to help me out here?
You use it more than I ever use it.
Yeah, I know. Canada's. I was mentioning the law changes. Well, Canada passed a couple of laws in regards to right to repair issues. And they're getting more in line with like what is trying to be done, at least in the U.S. So basically, let me just read this. This is a summarized version of what I pulled off of the web using Notebook LM. And we did mention that. I think we mentioned that not long ago, right, on the show. Anyways, Canada has new laws making it legal to bypass software locks on electronics for repairs, but these laws don't provide access to the tools actually needed to perform those repairs. Now, that's interesting because it also mentions a little further down in here, a similar situation exists in the U.S. where it might be legal to repair something like a McDonald's ice cream machine, but there's no legal way to access the specialized tools needed to actually do it. Now, that's, first of all, that's kind of stupid. Second of all, there is some other wording, and I'd actually have to dig that up, but some of the wording in the way it's mentioned in Canadian law, as it's gotten what's called royal assent. I'm not sure what you call it in the U.S. when I guess the president puts a seal on it or something. I don't know. But royal assent means it's now passed into law. So what one of the things that they've mentioned is that it includes anything within the phone. Now, I find that sounds a little bit odd because it basically means you've given somebody permission to repair your phone and they have to be able to get into it and they have to be able to unlock it and they have to be able to get into this, that, and everything else and whatever. But the problem is, what if you have something hidden that's password protected and password hidden? Well, they can crack it because they now have the legal right to do so. And the way they've worded it, it almost sounds like it means without your permission if you've dropped it off to be repaired. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up. I think this law has way more issues than what they've just talked about, because that is a very gray area, and they did not specify that that's not legal, and it did make it sound too much. But
here's one thing I noticed that's kind of funny is they have in their TPMs technological protection measures, which is not the TPM in your computer.
Yeah, it does say that. But keeping in mind that this is related to the fact that most phones, at least until recently, did have that because it was more software driven. That was something that you had to have encrypted passwords that would have encrypted files attached to them. That was the only way that you would be able to get in to do anything. So in other words, you or I could never do anything with it anyways without what iPhone users would call jailbreaking, or we call rooting, right? You gain root access or jailbreak, and you have access to do whatever you need. You no longer need to break that. However, as we mentioned, most phones actually do have. Is it called a TPM in the phone, or is it something? Is it a different name?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I know Samsung has one of their own that they've designed and made. Google has their own.
Well, they have, but Samsung has that whole Knox system. I guess that's probably part of that. I guess.
Oh no, it is. Yeah, because they have. It's not just software. They add software to it, much like Google does. But it's also they have a chip, at least from the 24. But I think from the 23 up even. I'm not sure. Again, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I've now forgotten. Forgive me. Anyway, so what it entails here is technical protection measures, TPMs, digital locks or measures that, yeah, we already talked about that. Right to repair, the movement advocating for the consumer's ability to repair their own electronics and access the necessary tools and information. Of course, the problem with that is, again, if you don't have the access to the tools, it can't be done. Now, this is not to say that someplace like iFixit can't do it. They can. They have the tools. But what iFixit is complaining about is that they cannot sell you the tools so you can repair it at home without voiding a warranty. Now, in some cases, they're saying that you should be able to do this without without having voided a warranty. Or in some cases, that's not the case. The issue, you would void a warranty, but you still have the right to do it and still have a right to be able to get it serviced, even if you have to pay for it yourself. Whereas before a right to repair becomes a thing at all, or has been, you saw a place like Apple, for instance, if you did anything, they wouldn't even repair it if you paid them through the nose. You'd have to buy a new phone.
Right.
And I don't know where the laws stand in the U.S. on that issue yet. I'm not sure if it's passed or if it's only passed in some states.
Yeah, I don't know. I have not ever. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I've not paid much attention to it. I don't. It doesn't really affect me.
Yeah. So in any case, that's basically how that one goes. And we don't need to go too far and too deep into that, obviously, but I'm really not sure what to make of that. And that news just basically hit. I just saw it today, so this is something that they've obviously just done in Canada. But I think one of the reasons is they want to try to stay closer to what is going on in the U.S. as well. So it's more on par. So I mean, if you need to get your phone fixed and you're in a foreign country, you should be able to get what you need to, fix it or take it where you want to get a new screen or whatever it is you need to do. And I personally agree with all of that. Because, back in the day, if you bought a Sylvania TV, yeah, I said Sylvania, you could take it to any repair shop. Or, well, back in those days, they'd come to your house. You can't, I mean, that's not a thing anymore. People do take their TVs in to be repaired, but it's usually some guy whose father taught him to do it, and he's been doing it for 50 years himself, and he's 3 years away from retirement, working in a small shop in a strip mall.
Well, good thing he's not stripping in the mall, though.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. You're waiting on that one, were you? Anyways,
it just came to me.
Probably holding that one for months.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you got any other interesting news that's U.S. specific at the moment, or even any specific state where you live? Some stupid law in California. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah. No. Nothing statewide. I mean, obviously, I've been following the post. Trump landslide. And all the people he's putting in the cabinet, and one interesting thing. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. Well,
Sorry,
ironically, that's okay. Ironically,
I completely forgot to do this.
Yeah. He's brought in Waltz onto his cabinet.
Who?
Kamala Harris's running mate. He said, "Oh, you couldn't make it with her? Why don't you come over here with me and you can be in part of my cabinet?" Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so I've been following a lot of that, and there's some crazy people he's put in places that I'm just like, what? It's gonna be a wild ride, folks, for the next 4 years. So just strap in and enjoy the ride. Grab some popcorn. Yeah. But one thing interesting. So you remember when he was in office the first time, and he talked so much about the TikTok ban and how he was going to ban them. And then he got out of office, and then the Biden administration's been threatening that now for a long time,
right?
And supposedly they have this deadline of January 19th or something that if it's not sold, it's going to be banned, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Well, I had read something, and I don't know all the details. I didn't get into it. I didn't have time this afternoon to dig into it. But now he's talking about blocking that ban to where they're not banned. And I'm like, what? And then it dawned on me, I'm like, I bet you he doesn't want to ban because, hell, TikTok's probably half the reason he got reelected. I mean, Charlie Kirk and all these people that are on TikTok that were like promoting him. It's probably like, hell, TikTok's got me back in office. Why do I want to ban it? I don't know. That could be. I mean, that's not. Man. That's not the reason, but I just again I haven't had a chance to dig into it. I was just like, wow, that's kind of odd. I mean,
well, some of the people that he's. I don't even. You know what? I don't even know what to say. He did the same thing the last time, but at least some of the people he had, although maybe not the best people for the job, technically were in the industry, if you want to put it that way. To some extent. But this time he's putting people in that that have no business being in high government positions at all with yeah. I don't know what we could go on with that forever and there's
well he's put Elon Musk
oh God!
in his cabinet to lead the Department of Government Efficiency. Well, I can't make this shit up, man. Elon Musk to lead Department of Government Efficiency, the Trump cabinet.
Hey, what was it? Who did he put in charge of the SecDef? Who did they make the SecDef?
I don't know. Let's see here. Secretary of Defense. Let's see. Trump. Sec of Defense.
I'm scared.
Oh, some guy named Pete Hegseth. I don't even know who Pete Hegseth is. I've never even heard that name before.
Okay. I'm gonna ask Gemini. Wait, what was the name again?
Hegseth, Hegseth. First name Seth.
Hegseth. Seth. Wait. I'm sorry. Say the name one more time.
Okay. Pete Hegseth.
Hegseth.
Yeah.
Who is Pete Hegseth?
Pete Hegseth is a prominent figure in American media and politics. He's widely recognized as a conservative political commentator on Fox News. Hegseth is also an author.
I didn't need to hear another damn word. Fox.
Yeah. As Secretary of Defense, people.
Secretary of Defense. So basically, when every general and every politician who served and understands how things work says to the man, no, that's wrong. Mr. President, you can't listen to that. And he says, no. I'm the Secretary of Defense. You'll do what I say. And then 50,000 men walk to their death. They'll blame somebody else. Is that what that's?
Yeah. So we have Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff. We have Tom Homan, Border Czar. I don't even know who Tom Homan is or Homan, H-O-M-A.
These sound all like actors from B movies that go straight to video, straight to VHF.
Yeah.
Sorry, straight to Betamax.
Mike Waltz is the national security advisor. He's obviously came, Elon Musk. Apparently, and Vivek Ramaswamy, I don't know, head of Department of Government Efficiency. Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary. He's got Rubio on his cabinet as Secretary of State.
Right.
That's going to go.
Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. So basically, if Trump and the vice president, who's vice president again?
I don't even know. What's his name?
So Trump and whoever the vice president is. This is the first time I've ever not known who the hell the vice president was. That's
there's so many names. Vance. That's right.
Vance. Right. Vance. Okay. Trump and Vance, for some reason, are indisposed, and I'm being as polite as possible. Let's just say something goes wrong, and Air Force One is having a problem. They're stuck in the air. We'll say it that way. And shit hits the fan back in the U.S. The only man that can get the job done with communications down is Rubio.
Marco Rubio. Yeah, I say it's going to be an interesting one. So.
All right. Well, yeah, this okay, we're going to move on. I'm not even kidding. I don't think I could handle much talk about that, especially when it's where's the boo? Where's the boo on here? Is there a boo on this sound thing? I don't see laugh and clap.
Yeah, I think that's more accurate. Because it's going to be a joke. There you go.
Okay. All right. So let's talk hockey. I hate to do this to you.
I'll just be sitting over here, and you can talk hockey. I don't have anything to talk about.
No, we do have something to talk about because we want to discuss what the hell is going on with the Preds. And hey, man, what the hell's going on with the Jets? It depends on how you want to, are you a fan of one or the other? Are you not? Who are you interested in? Are you a Rangers fan? How do you feel about last night? Sorry about that. I am a Jets fan, obviously. But that said, what's going on with the Preds? I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to try to make my point, and then you go with yours. Kind of point, counterpoint, if you disagree, that is. The Preds need a new coach. And here's my thinking on that. I've not only watched some highlights very recently about recent games, or with recent games, but I was watching a little mini documentary on what they've been doing wrong this season and part of last season, and what they did right when they went on that 15-0-2 run. I think that's what it was, right? 15-0-2, 17 like undefeated.
That'll never
regulation games. Well, dude, you know what? It's very rare it happens to any team, so it probably won't.
Well, let me take it back. We're going to be 0-15, so yeah, it'll happen again.
They're not going to be 0-15. Okay, you can stop that. Anyways, listen. Here's the thing. They were talking about how they set up in plays, and there's just structure that isn't there, and they don't believe in themselves. Now, here's where I think a new coach, at least a good one, anyways, can make a massive difference. They get in there and they start telling them, "You guys are running around and you're doing this, and this is not happening." Now, one of the problems is, if they're chasing after the puck in the offensive end, they've got 3 guys chasing the guy in behind the net or into the corner. The problem is the puck squirts out, and now you got 4 guys on the other team going back against 2, meaning you probably got at least a 2-on-1 the other way. And how many times have you seen that happen? I've heard you tell me lots of times, they got breakaways. They've allowed 5 2-on-1s this period alone. I remember you telling me that the one time. No, it was 3 breakaways that period and a few 2-on-1s as well.
Oh, yeah. It's
one period.
It's a problem.
And this is what I'm talking about. So a different structure retrains these guys to actually stick to how they're playing. But also their defensive structure is absolutely abysmal. They're not actually playing. It's like they're trying to do strictly man on man but nobody knows which man to pick. If you don't know what, you should automatically fall back to a zone defense. But like, honestly, right now, I think the Preds need to actually play a trap, some form of a trap, neutral zone trap, at least for a couple of games. Get a new coach, figure out that offensive issue, which will get them. Here's the thing: if they've got the puck more often and they keep it off the sticks of the other team more often, they gain confidence, and then the puck starts going in. More it goes in, the more confidence, more it goes in. This is what happened to the Jets last year. They couldn't score that much. They were like, I think, 17th in the league in scoring last year, or somewhere in that neighborhood. Their defense was the best, but they in the last part of the season, I think they fell like to 18th or 19th in the league in scoring. They weren't good at all. They were worse than middle of the pack. This year, they're number one by a good margin. Defensively, still number one. They may not show as number one because of the goals, but if you look at all the other teams that are slightly better defensively, they all have at least 1 or 2 or 3 games in hand, meaning they're probably let in more than the Jets did in the same amount of games played. So the Jets lead in almost every category because they got a new coach that, even though they had a good coach last year and 2 years prior, they had a good coach. They both got them like this far and couldn't quite get them there. Their new coach changed just a couple of little things. Bam, there you go. So that's my piece on why the Preds need to get a new coach. So, counterpoint.
I don't disagree that there's things that need to be changed and updated. I don't know that it's a whole coaching problem, however. Now, there are things I see that are coaching problems, like, despite the fact that Stamkos is an amazing player, he's a 50-goal scorer. I mean, the guy's a legend. Yeah. He's going to be one of the top, players. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, blah, 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 right?
Right.
Got it. But he is not the only one that can score, power play goals. The problem is that they'll circle it around the net, trying to get it to Stamkos to do his little, Ovechkin, one-time slapper from the circle, and everybody knows it. And they're wasting time. That needs to stop. They need to just get the puck to the net and stop trying to make Stamkos be the power play guy.
Yeah.
His moments will come. He will get his power play goals.
Right.
With all that other stuff going on, because he's going to catch the rebounds, he's going to catch those pucks that come out, etc. But I'm sorry. You don't have a 90.9% PK without having good defensive structure. That's a player problem, not playing properly with your teammates. You don't have that high of a PK and have terrible defense, because that's where the penalty kill comes from, is your defenseman. So that's player problem.
I'm sorry, that's not entirely true.
Well, it is for the majority.
Let me give you an example. Who's got the fourth? I think it's the third or fourth best penalty kill in the league right now, and it's still climbing. And that would be the Winnipeg Jets. How far are they off from the lead in the best penalty killing in the league? Probably not very far at all. 4 or 5 games, they could be number one if they play well enough for that in the penalty kill. Here's what the Jets basically have in the penalty kill. First of all, they have a solid structure for it. But what they do is, in addition to putting on as much pressure as possible, they move the puck. And often it's forwards that actually get that touch and get that puck out. It's often before a defenseman ever does. So the defenseman's doing his job and keeping it away from the net, but you still need forwards to do their jobs properly for that. So in saying that a team's entire defense is considered good based on their penalty kill isn't good. What I'm saying, though, is that the Preds have the talent and the ability to be an extremely good defensive team, and they do have one of the best goaltenders in the league in Saros. But coaching needs to change because they don't know the structure. They're playing basically as they're told to a certain point and then winging it beyond there because nothing is working. So that coaching change is what makes the difference. Now, often crappy teams, and I mean way crappier than you think the Preds are, have had coaching changes and gone on 6-game win streaks before finally falling back to earth because the coach wasn't really that good. So, I mean, worst case scenario, they change coaches, and I guarantee you the Preds are good enough and they have enough talent that they'll go on a winning streak just because of that. Let's not forget,
I didn't say that
3 in a row earlier.
Because we have a good penalty kill, that we have a great defense and all that. I'm just saying that in our structure, you don't have Stamkos, Marchessault, Forsberg out there killing penalties. Yeah. You have Shin, right. You have Yossi, you have your defensemen out there doing the primary killing. Okay, so you have to have good defensive skill set and players to have a good penalty kill.
You don't need Marchessault and Forsberg, right, as you said. But what about your journeyman guys? Don't you have good fourth liners and third liners that get out there with the defensemen?
Well, yeah, Colton Sissons. He's a great penalty killer, and he's a center. So I mean, he does a fantastic job too. I mean, there's no one better at sticking a stick out in the middle of the pass and chipping it.
Right.
So you have that, but we're not scoring goals. Okay. Right. Forsberg last year was 48 goals, 46 goals. Stamkos was over 50.
Wow, he scored 48 last year?
46 or something. Yeah, he was, he scored a lot of goals.
Fire.
Now, he's not doing bad. I mean, he's definitely the lead of the team right now. Forsberg's definitely still producing, but I mean, I don't know. Well, some of the issues I see are poor passing. It's not communicating. But I'm telling These are player problems. Listen, these are not coaching problems.
It's always a player problem. The problem is that you can have the smartest, best players in the world playing on a team, and a coach who doesn't coach them with the right structure in a planned attack isn't going to work. And you're going to get guys running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And then you got this guy going, well, I got to give it to Stamkos because he's the guy who scores 50 goals every year. That's not going to work. Everybody knows Stamkos is there. You need to play in a structure where Stamkos will probably end up giving the puck to someone else. What's going to happen? The guy's probably going to end up giving it back because Stamkos is now standing in front of an empty net. Right? This is what happened if you watch some of the highlights from the Jets game last night. They got on a 2-on-1, and it was just so obvious that he was going to pass the puck to the other guy. I can't remember who the hell it was on the ice right now. Sorry about that. It's just some reason it slipped my mind. But he passes it to him, and he doesn't shoot. He gives it back because now the goalie has slid halfway out the ice. I mean, he's practically at home making some, biscuits and tea, and he's got an empty net to just tap it into now. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I'm used to seeing the Preds do, and I know this because I remember seeing them do stuff like that against the Jets a few years back, and many other teams. But they're not doing that because they don't even really know how. No one's telling them you have to play a specific style of hockey a certain way. The Jets do it a certain way, and if you watch how they play, oddly enough, take a look at how they do their defense. They actually do a form of a trap. What do they call it again? I think it's the left wing neutral zone trap. And in one, what happens is as the opponent's coming down the left wing, two guys go over here, one here and one further down, forcing him to have to either dump or throw it. If he dumps it, there's at least one jet back here to get it. If he throws it across, there's one guy in the middle, and there's another guy over here, and there's another guy over here to intercept that. And that doesn't prevent them from getting in every time, but it does prevent them from being able to get access to quick possession in the offensive zone, or in the Jets' case, in their zone. So it usually results in them turning it around quickly, regaining the puck control, and going back the other way. Now, what the Jets do to combat any form of trap is, rather than doing the dump and chase classic, get to the red line, slam it in, and hope and run, they get up as close as they can usually, and they do a quick dump, and then usually run around. If the guy tries to hang on to him, they draw a penalty. If he doesn't, they end up getting in there to it, and they can either dump it further from inside the zone and another jet can get to it, or they can pass it, sometimes even right out into the center. This is something that's successful. If you watch, it's done by the Lightning. It's done by Edmonton. And I'm telling you right now, if you remember the Preds, when they were successful last year for a while, they were doing a lot of that too, something very similar. So when you see them get into the corner, except I will say this too, the Preds were actually, for a while last year, were pretty good at doing a dump and full chase, but they're not a fast team. That's the problem. So they really need to work on throwing the body around a little bit better and doing short dump and chase.
I mean, how do you have Stamkos, O'Reilly, Marchessault, Forsberg, Nyquist?
I know, you're just throwing out names.
And a minus 14 goal differential.
That's because they're not.
I know, but that's my point. That is my point.
Because of the reasons that I mentioned. If they had a coach that would give them the structure and give them the right forms to play, because they that's why they draw all these X's and O's on the boards. Like a lot of people think, oh, well, do they really need to do that? Just go out and play hockey. Like, this is not pond hockey. You're playing against the best players in the world are playing against the best players in the world. You have to be better than that. It's like Jake Paul thinking he can get in the ring with Mike Tyson. Sorry, I had to. Anyways,
look, we have 1, 2, 3 players that have a +1. Everybody else is negative. We don't even have any. Yes, everybody's on minus, like Forsberg -3, Nyquist -2, Stamkos -11, plus minus.
I mean, well, you see, now that's the thing. Stamkos shouldn't be a -11. Again, this comes down to coaching. You can say this anytime, 1,000 ways from Sunday, and you refuse to believe it. But I guarantee you, they fire that coach and get a new one. They start winning pretty quickly, and you'll understand exactly what I mean. Remember one thing, and don't take this as an insult. But a Canadian from a city that's had hockey all my life, I've seen this a billion times. You most of your coaching changes weren't because your team was bad. It's because they just weren't good enough at the time, right?
No, I understand. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying the coach is not part of the problem, but when you have these seasoned players, when you have these seasoned players, there's just a simple dynamic of, you know how to play hockey and you're good at hockey, and you can play with any kind of structure you want. Like, whatever you're told, you can roll with it.
Yeah.
And they're just not. So, I mean, that's, I don't know.
Let me give you a better example. Okay. You're in high school. You keep mouthing off to the teacher, and the teacher keeps trying to discipline you. It's not working. Eventually, the teacher just sends you to the principal. Let's consider that the coaching change. Now the principal just looks at you and says, "Get out. You're done."
Yeah.
Right. See, the coach is going to end up starting to bench people, and that's just going to create issues. It's not going to work. It's historically been the worst case scenario. Keenan did that so many times. Does he have a Stanley Cup or 2 under his wing? He probably does. Yeah. But still, Mike Keenan had enough experience and coached enough good teams. That guy should have had 9 or 10 Stanley Cups in his career. But he was so mean and such an a-hole to the players, and he would bench guys just because he thought they had 2 bad shifts. And it was like for an entire period or even the rest of the game. And it was the dumbest thing in the world. And, of course, it created animosity between him and the players. And sometimes a couple of players would start not getting along very well, because why is this third liner, playing my spot on the first line for 3 straight games while I'm relegated to checking and I'm a perennial 40 goal scorer? I mean, some coaches have done things like that. What they need is to have that structure. But let's get on and it may not be positive to you, but it's positive to me. Because we have to talk about the other end of the spectrum at the top of the league. Let's ask the first question.
Yeah, because the Predators were at the very bottom of the league. Is that right? Did I see that right?
That's exactly what you saw. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm going to ask the question. It's the same question everyone's asking everyone right now. Are the Jets for real? Do you think they have a shot, or have they not proven themselves at 15-1? What, nothing? We might, for the people who are listening on the radio, man, come on.
Yeah, I don't, I told you in the beginning of the season, you doubted me. But I told you in the beginning of the season that there's nothing wrong with the Jets. Now, I didn't think it'd be 15-1.
The Jets were going to be number one. Yeah.
No. I said there's nothing wrong with the team structure. They're bringing back most of their core guys. They're all on the same lines. They're all doing the same things. They're going to be just fine. They're going to still be as dominant as they've always been. So I've never, ever said they weren't legit. So people who are saying...
That isn't answering my question. My question is, do you think that they've got what it takes to make a run in the playoffs?
I've already told you. I think they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I've already told you that.
But you were saying that and just because of the contrast between our two teams.
No. When they hit that like 10-1 or 10-0 or whatever they were, I'm like, dude, they're going to go all the way. I would be surprised if they didn't, honestly. Okay, if they don't, they're going to go. They're going to be in the final round. They'll be in the fight for it if they don't win.
There's people who still, and then this is all true. I heard this. I didn't hear it myself with my own ears. This is what I heard somebody else had said, that one of the broadcasters had said during the Jets, or right after the Jets' first victory. This was after they won 6-0 in Edmonton on Game 1 in Edmonton. Or was it in Winnipeg? Whatever. It was 6-0 against Edmonton. Apparently, they said, "Well, it's too bad. This team's not even going to make the playoffs." And I don't even know where.
I've never heard anybody say that, but
because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The Jets haven't failed to make the playoffs in a while. I mean, it was the 1 year they didn't in relatively recent times, but they've been almost a perennial playoff team. Not doing well a few of those years, but they have more than one time where they got out of the first round, and the one time, of course, where they went to the conference final. And this is all in the last 7 years. So they've basically done as good or better than 90% of the league. And yet you still got people thinking that they got no shot. And it's mind-boggling because they said, Toronto's going to be the team this year. They got the exact same people on the team doing the exact same thing every year. They never finish first. They never finish second. They never make it past the first round except one time. Sounds like the Jets, except the difference is the Jets were fourth in the league last year, and 7 years ago were second in the league. They are one of only about 5 teams in the last 7 years that have been in the top 5 at least 3 times in the last 7 years. I mean, obviously, well, no, more than 5. Okay, Lightning, because that happened a number of times. The Preds made it in the top 5 2 years in a row. Wait a minute, no, did they? No, because the year before they squeaked into the playoffs. I remember that, yeah. And then they were number 1 the next year.
And it's been all downhill from there.
And that's not true. They were still good the following year. Both the Jets and the Preds were good.
No, it's all downhill. It's been on a steady decline. And now we're at the bottom of the league, and here we are, a fourth of the way through the season, and we
nowhere to go. Hey, they got nowhere to go but up.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true.
No, you can't go any further than dead last.
No, they can stay there. They can continue to lose and stay there. They lost. They lost. What Tuesday night? They're gonna. We're playing the Oilers again tomorrow, and we're probably gonna lose again. So we've already lost twice to the Oilers.
People, put some comments down here and let us know what you think. Do you believe the Preds have a shot at moving up the ladder? Do you think the Jets have a shot at staying on the top of the ladder? Where do you think people are going to finish? What's your favorite team? Who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup? Who do you think is going to win your division? Who do you think is going to win East and West? Also, let's talk about that. The Jets did a number on the Rangers, at least in the score. But that game was really, really evenly played from beginning to end. The Jets had taken advantage of areas where they could. Hellebuck was a bit better a goalie last night. Shesterkin did make some awesome saves, but I can't even say his name right. Shesterkin, as you would expect him to make awesome saves, right? But the Jets are just such a good team. The Jets are such a good team that they can take advantage of those little tiny little things, mistakes here and there and whatnot. The best teams do that. The Rangers are a better team than what that score said. They were better in that game than the score suggested. That said, I think that proves even more that the Jets are for real because they didn't walk over them. Had they walked over them, it could have been construed by some people as the Rangers had a bad day, a bad game, and the Jets' luck is going to run out. But when they have close games against good teams who are playing well and out shooting the Jets, but the Jets still win. You know, they've won games 2-1. They've won games 4-2, 5-3, 6-3, 7-4.
Look, I'm surprised your eardrums are not blown out because a Jets game, this is all you hear. Constant. This is Preds.
Okay.
That's right. Preds game.
Hey, you're getting in there now. You be careful. You don't want people to make comments about,
yeah,
or a loser or something like that. Remember,
I need that air horn. It goes
to be professional, but you got to be objective and
And what?
So listen, what do you think? Forgetting about the Jets and the Preds, how do you think the East is going to go? Who do you think is going to get in there? Do you think Toronto has a realistic shot, or do you think that's all Rangers and what do you call them, Florida Panthers?
I think honestly, the Toronto is going to be Toronto, and they're not going to do anything different than they did last year. They're a good team, but I don't think they have what it takes to go over the top. They're putting too much on their top two M's that they have. And I just don't think they're going to be able to get past that. I think that
they do actually have a lot of depth, and they play a very similar game to the way the Jets do, just a little bit more high flying.
Yeah, the Rangers, I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, they have superior goaltending. He's going to win a Vezina. I mean, he's going to be a Vezina guy.
I'm sorry. Wait, who's going to win a Vezina?
Shesterkin is going to be a Vezina guy.
Well, right now it's very much looking like Connor Hellebuck has run away for the Vezina.
Okay, I'm not saying right now. I'm saying as time moves on, years and down. I'm not saying this year. Don't get all butthurt about Hellebuck.
He's going to catch up to Hellebuck and do better.
I'm not saying this year. I'm saying he's as good. He's a good goalie that's going to be a Vezina guy. He's going to be a top goalie in this league.
100%. I agree with you. Go on. All right.
The Rangers have good skill, obviously. Yes. I think they're going to be in it. As if they're going to go far, I don't think they're going to go far. I think Florida has another chance to go in and win the Stanley Cup again. I
not only think they have a chance, I think that they're going to be the Jets' biggest issue, and and I'm not going to say that this week is going to prove it, because one of three things is going to happen. Either the Jets are going to go in there and lose that game and then go home and lose to them again a few days later or a couple days later, because they're doing a home and home thing, right? Or they're going to go in there and beat them and then go home and beat them again, or they're going to split that. If they split it, then everyone's going to go, oh, yeah, it's the two best teams in the league.
So let me get this straight. You said it's going to be either this, or this, which is basically only three outcomes you can possibly.
No, no shit. Of course, it's the only possibilities. But what I'm saying is there's other possibilities. I'm talking about what it is if the Jets beat them in both games, then people might be looking up and going, oh, my God. Right? If they lose both games, then everyone's going to be like, oh, God, see, I told you they sucked and it was just a fluke. But if they split it, people might actually be going, yeah, that's about right. The two best teams. Don't get me wrong. I hope the Jets beat them both games. Will they?
Well, I don't think anybody is saying or is going to say that the Jets aren't one of the best teams. That's
actually, there's a lot of people saying it. It's actually ridiculous how many people. Some of them are actually professional broadcasters.
You don't go 15-1 and be a mediocre team. But
they're still saying, "Oh yeah, but it's just now and it's early, and there's no way the Jets can sustain this." And everyone's, this is going to pass from us. Some people are even saying the Jets are going to make the playoffs, absolutely, but they have no shot in the playoffs whatsoever. Like they're actually still saying that.
Yeah.
Everybody and his dog still thinks that both the Rangers and the Panthers are better in the case of the Panthers, but they also said that about the Minnesota Wild, right? What happened to? Oh no, it was Dallas. Wait a minute, is Minnesota they're playing next, or is it Panthers? My goodness, I have forgotten.
I would not be surprised if it was a Panther Jets, all the way to the end.
I actually, to be honest with you, it would be an interesting Stanley Cup final. At least I think so. Winnipeg Jets schedule is what I want. There we go.
And I honestly think that if the Preds do not
they still have to play the Lightning first. I forgot about that.
The Preds do not turn this around in short order, and they don't start winning some games by come New Year's, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be out.
Okay, yeah. So it's Jets are heading off to Tampa to play the Lightning again, and the last time they played them, it was 7-4 Jets. Just a reminder, just an FYI. Then they go to Florida or stay in Florida to play the Panthers, and then a few days later, the Panthers go to Winnipeg to freeze and basically be buried in the snow by the Jets. Then the Jets head back out on the road to Pittsburgh and Nashville. Are you going to the game?
No, remember, I'm going to be in Mexico.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's too bad. You could have got to watch my favorite team win. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So, all right.
I have no doubt. I mean, you don't get any reaction from me because I have no doubt.
Okay. Well, here's the other thing. I'll just bring this up real quick. I don't know what's going on in the NFL right now. But as long as we're talking about sports, you might just really briefly bring that up. But the CFL year, the first 2 years they won, they lost the next two. If they lose again, people will remember that they went 3 years in a row and lost. If they win, they'll be talking about how they won 3 out of 5 going to the Cup 5 years in a row, and they'll be considered a minor dynasty. So it's going to be interesting. And we got dead air again.
I don't follow CFL, so I can't.
Well, no, but you follow NFL to a point, right?
Yeah. Well, my team is 2 whatever, and they're not gonna. They're dead. So.
Well, how many games have they played so far?
It's mid-season.
So what's the record?
What, 2-7?
Oh, ugh. Okay. Wait. Hang on. The Bombers were 0-4, and at one point they were 2-6. They ended up winning the East, getting a bye into the final, winning the West, getting a bye in the final, and now they've won that playoff game, and they're going to the Grey Cup Championship. So you can't tell me that 2-7 means they're done halfway through the season. Win 5 games in a row, and you're in. Bob's your uncle.
You got to have a good team to do that. We do not.
People said the same thing about the Bombers. Oh, they suck. They're not going to do it this year. And then they won 8 straight games.
Okay, how many Tennessee Titans games have you watched?
None.
Okay, thank you. They suck. They're not going to make it. They're not going to make the playoffs. I guarantee it. I will put money on that.
You know what? I'm going to sit down and watch a Tennessee Titans game with you via some internet magic one day, and we'll do a little reaction, just like we will hopefully be doing for the CFL Championship, the Grey Cup.
if nothing comes up, yeah, we have that plan.
What are you, scared to watch a good team win? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. With that said, we should probably start wrapping it up because
with that said, I might not.
Oh, come on, man. You can't get that passionate about it. That's why they call it fanatic, by the way, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually good to be passionate about your team. And yeah, unfortunately, it sucks when they're down. But I still think that your hockey team has plenty of time to get better. I know you don't believe it, but when it starts happening, then you'll enjoy it. So that said, I do want them to do better because they're not a team I dislike. I like the Preds. I want them to do better. I want them to make.
Well, yeah, and I don't get me wrong. I'm really glad that the Jets are just being so dominant. I want to say that I told you last year that they were going to not be at 15-1, but they were going to be just as good this year as they were last year. And
yeah, well, I'll tell you somebody who definitely wants them to go to the Cup, and that's the Jets' last coach. Or
I thought the Predators before that was going to be a good team this year, but
I swear to you, I thought you know what? We all thought that though. Do you realize that they're still middle of the pack or even slightly better in odds in betting in Vegas? Like I don't understand. I'm
gonna lose a lot of money.
That's yeah, because they're way too high in the odds. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh man,
or too low on it. You know what I mean? And the Jets are actually barely above them. For making the playoffs at all, yet alone, like they're almost not even an afterthought for a team possible to win. People still have Edmonton as number 1 to win the Stanley Cup. Based on 2 players. They have 2 players on their team. I'm sorry, Edmonton fans, but you've got 2 players on your team. Okay? The rest of the team is at best average. They play great when these other guys are scoring 5 points each a game. And then they just kind of rally around it. But you take that out, what do you got? And they'll say, well, McDavid wasn't around for some games, but Draisaitl was. And I will argue this till I'm blue in the face. McDavid may be the best all-around player, but Draisaitl is just as a pure goal scorer and playmaker, without all the other flashy stuff, he's still that good. Whether you're playing with him or not, he'll take the puck and do it by himself. Not saying McDavid can, obviously he can, but my point is that McDavid is a different level of it. He can elevate everybody else in the building, right? Kind of like Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux or Steve Yzerman, right? But Draisaitl doesn't even need to elevate everybody. He'll literally just do it himself. So
yeah, he's definitely exceptional.
Just to put this into perspective, while maybe not the same level of talent, there are more people with NHL caliber scoring talent on the Predators if they get going. They're
on paper. Yeah, on paper. No,
I said if they get going, they would be a better team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On paper, they should be top of the league right now. I really honestly thought it would be Jets.
Right. Not top of the league. You still don't have the best goaltender, and you still don't have Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers and Mark Scheifele. And I was going to say Jacques Villeneuve. That's a race.
Okay, we do have one of the best goaltenders, and we have as many top players as you do. So
no, you don't have the best goaltender.
We don't have last year's Vezina goalie, but we have one of the best goalies in the league. Period.
Well, you have one of the best, but Winnipeg has the best.
No, he just got lucky, so he's not going to get lucky.
We're going to go there. He got lucky, did he? For 13 straight games.
When you have really good people playing in front of you, you can be a good goalie. So, anyways,
them's fighting words.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, you know what?
Well, do you have a passport? Come on down. Get your passport. Drive on across the border. Come on down and show me about them fighting words.
Yeah, fighting words. I'll meet you at the Tyson fight.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Before we go,
Jets and the Preds should be top 5 all year long with the players they have on their roster. I 100%
agree with you, but let's get out of that for now. It's a serious question. What's your prediction, Tyson and numbnuts? I mean,
Tyson's going to kick his ass.
No, he's not. He's going to punch him in the face. Hard.
Whatever. He's going to go down.
My prediction is Paul. I mean, he may not be knocked out cold, but he'll probably wish he was.
Yeah.
Most likely he'll wish he was knocked out cold.
I don't care. I've watched some of Mike Tyson's like videos and training and some of his.
Yeah, I've seen. I was watching it before I got on.
I don't care how old that dude is. He's going to kick his ass.
Well, he you know what? He may not have the speed he had when he was 23 years old. But what I saw in some of that training was, he still looked like he was pretty damn fast for his age. He's still going to be faster than Jake Paul.
Well, and he's still got the power.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hadn't even gotten to that part yet. But my point is he's going to be faster than Jake Paul because just watch the training videos. Everybody thinks, he's 50-something. How slow do you think 50-something is? My God, man. Wow. There are professional wrestlers that are still jumping off the top rope.
Well, if you're talking about me and you, that's really slow.
Well, yeah, but we're not, professional athletes now, are we? My God, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go. And even if it goes by 20%, but you're already 40% stronger than anyone else, that still leaves you at 30-something% stronger. So, yeah, no, can he hit harder than Jake? Of course he can. And his actual experience in actual boxing as the best boxer in the world for a long time means that this amateur guy stepping into a professional ring is just like he's already done it once and got his ass beat by somebody who wasn't even that good, but he was a professional boxer and he embarrassed him. So, right. He put on weight.
It's a publicity stunt.
Hugely. He's going to get paid a pretty good chunk of change to get the shit kicked out of him. And that's
matter of fact, if they want to pay me what Jake Paul's going to be making, I'll let Mike Tyson give me a few punches.
I don't know if I would really be willing to go that far for that, but I don't think I'd say no without thinking about it. $15 million for 30 minutes. Put me in the hospital, man. Put me in the hospital for 15
Just don't kill me. Let me heal, and I'm good.
I might even take the wheelchair for $15 million. I get a motorized thing, and Google Gemini written right into the thing, and I can just tell it to go left and right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna see it. That's $15 million. Yeah. All right. I have nothing else to say about that.
Yeah, and on that, I don't really have anything else to say either. So.
All right, we'll get.
I'm Robert from Nashville, and I'll see you next week.
And I'm Lionel from Toronto, and I guess I'll see you next week at the same time. You have a good one.
Peace.